Omega Man, your customers. Who are your customers?
My customers are people who drink water.
Okay.
And particularly those
Actually,
who want clean, healthy, clean water.
Actually, I'm going to go back to that in a weird way. That was a very intelligent answer to that. Remember when I say change the way we think? How many individuals have small staffs or staff? You have a staff? You have a staff? You have a staff? You have a staff. Do you consider your staff your customers as well? Question. Yes. You don't. You don't.
We haven't thought about it.
Exactly. But many of us don't.
Because, of course, you want to get a bio of your staff and you know what they're capable of doing, you want to do a SWOT analysis on it,
Exactly.
So, the weaknesses and the strengths
Yeah.
of your staff. So, in all honesty, if I sit down and really think hard, I agree with you.
I thank you, and I agree. So changing the way we think, and that's why I said his answer was pretty good because his staff would drink water too. That's why he just let me know. He says anyone that drinks water. So the people like we have small staffs, the large staffs, the medium staffs. You actually have internal customers. We're going to discuss why that is very important. Anyone that has a mouth or the ability in today's social media world to put any information out of your business is someone that you always have to listen to and strive to push value on what you're doing to at all times, even if it's in subtle ways, because you never know what network they have and who they can bring in. If I am associated with fishing buddies, tossed it out with the kid family, and I have needs, and I use this because I look at them as my second family, I would be wrong to take my dollars elsewhere when I have my automotive need. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because that's still internal. That's an internal customer. I'm actually a part of this internal ecosystem being brought in through the kid brothers. So that's kind of how we have to start thinking. And you'll see how it will actually expand and how it plays into actual skills of customer service, which is a behavior. What is your product or service? We kind of discussed that. Now, remember when we say what, it's not what is the product or service to you, but what is the product or service to me. So when I refer to me, I'm always customer, you are. So to me, what it is. You have to figure out what the what is to me. There's too many, I'll give you real quick, I told you I wanted to be kind of light with this. And Jay can attest to this. We have our business. And Mr. Kidd, and even my mom has even said this. We remember the first time we had the idea for our business. And I joked with him presently because look at you, and that's something you said a long time ago. You were right. We were sitting, we had a meeting. We first set up, we have our parents. We wanted to make sure that they were involved as our mentors to help us out. And one of the things that I'll never forget Mr. Kidd saying is, you guys can have the greatest ideas in the world, but if nobody knows about what you're doing, it was a simple comment, but in reality, it's very true. Because if you can I can love technology, we can build the best websites in the world. But if Danny who needs a website sees no value in what I'm building, does it matter? It absolutely doesn't. That's why it's always good to get the customer's perspective. Always important, so we got to keep that in mind. Who finds value in your product and service? That's the alluding to that. So yeah, I may be hungry, I may want your food, but do I find value that I'm going to come back and only order from you? Or will I order from you? Or will I only take free food that's offered to me? So it's just getting a way to think. So what you see here on the right, and for those who came in late, just as a heads up, we'll pass out later, we have a self-quiz. And what I advise everyone to do is don't immediately fill it out. Take some time until the next workshop, or maybe even the day before the next workshop that I am actually presenting at, and then fill it out. I want you to try some of the things, and then see if it's working for you or not, if you really understand it. Because if you do it too quick, you won't have any value in it. It'll be fresh on your head, because it's all about getting the behavior. So lean starts like this. You have an idea. That's your product or service. You build your idea, You have a product, you measure it, you get data, you learn from that data, and you go back to having another idea. I told you guys I wasn't going to be too heady, and I'm not. But I'm going to say something, and I mean this. Because we all black folks in here. Perfect analogy. The reason I'm showing you lean methodology and I'm doing it in the matter, there's nothing we can't do. How many people believe we built the pyramids in here? How many people know that we invented math? There was no such thing as a zero, right? How many people know that when it comes to the Europeans in the 12th century, we're the ones who taught them how to bathe mathematics? This is fact. This is documented fact. So if we can do those things, there's no way that these concepts are going to be well over our heads today. Okay? So here's what we mean by idea. I have an idea, I want a security company. Right? From that, I have to build the processes. That's what we're doing in these workshops. I need to get the name. I need to get the appropriate numbers, IDs, certifications. You build that idea. Now you find I got my product. Have my product. If it's not selling, I need to measure what? Why it's not selling. Why aren't people buying my cameras? Why aren't people buying my water? Or why are people buying my cameras? And why are people buying my water? How many times do people come back and they repeat to me as well? This is what measurement is about. That's all data is. Data is just that information. You learn from that information when you find out why people are buying from you, why they are not. And then you start at the top again and you improve the process. And how customer service relates to that is how you engage with that smile on your face with me as I buy this widget from you. Maybe the very reason that I come back or don't come back to you. Or I bring someone down the street. Or what else could I do if I have a bad experience that no one ever really talks about? Man, F that man. Don't deal with this dude. In this electronic world, it takes 2 seconds to have something go out to thousands and thousands of people because of a bad experience. But you have to also remember that also goes with your internal customers, which are your staff. The people in your internal circle, they can be the thing that makes or break you as well. So, remember when you smile, it's like you beat me to my punch earlier. There's a Chinese proverb, a man without a smiling face must not be shot. So I was asked to give some of my background, and I did it real quick. At this point, I'm going to give a little bit more. So as I mentioned, I started in the 1990s. In the 1990s, working for a firm called Productivity Point International. I had to maintain a budget of working for someone else straight out of college and making $15 million of sales in 1 year of a product and service. I was successful at it. I wasn't initially successful, however. And as I was sharing with someone here earlier before we started, why I was not successful is because I was always blaming you for not buying what I was offering. And I had an attitude about it. Man, I was a kid. Man, what's this problem? I get my car, drive off, pissed off, I'm young dude. I ain't want my stuff. I thought we were cool, Why ain't daddy want my stuff, man? Driving my car, I'm riding off. It was attitude. It was my attitude. And plus I wasn't listening to people. Somebody, I may come out and say, hey man, I got this is great. I love it. Work with me. The guy, somebody may be telling me, well, I like to work with you, but I need this, this, and this, or you don't have this, this, and this. I'm not at what? Listening. First skill in customer service is really just listening. And asking someone how they feel about the service. Hey, I finished your brake job, Mr. Owens. I finished doing the oil. We also checked, and we saw that you're low on your trans fluid. I went ahead and kind of checked that out for you, and I topped off this for you. Hope everything is well. Let me know, how did you feel about the service? Is there anything I can do to improve anything? Blah, blah, blah. Sometimes that takes people off guard because we're so not used to hearing somebody, would everyone agree? We're not really used to anyone asking us our opinion at all. And it makes a person feel what when they ask their opinion? Remember the word we used earlier? Value and importance. So now you're transmitting value because even in the back of someone's mind, they're like, man, I went in there, they cared about what I said, and one of my input. Or even if you take 2 seconds and say, you know what, I like your idea, I'm going to try it out. Next time if you come back for another visit, Tell me how it goes, you know, and please feel free to bring something with you. Yeah, go right ahead.
You're talking about how the value of the individuals.
Yeah.
So when I went down to Orlando last year, and we was for that timeshare, and they had their glasses, you know what I mean? And they wanted me to show over $35,000 for a timeshare. Already that, I'm already married, I've been married for years and a half.
Yes.
Make a long story short, what they were failing to understand is if you just bring individuals around making intelligent decisions.
Yes.
You know, if you can bring me to make an intelligent decision within my own self,
Yes.
then you get it.
Yes.
And so that's so important to get an individual to say, hey, you know what, after talking with you, Mr. Davenport, and dotting all the T's, or dotting all the I's, and crossing all the T's, I'm going with you.
Exactly.
And I respect that because see what it is in anything just but this in learning. When you put that kind of emphasis on the individual that you really care about them, and even if you make another decision not to go with me, I respect that.
Yes.
But my whole thing is to bring you to a point to make either with me or not with me, but at the end of the day, you have made a tough decision. And I respect that. The individual just saying, you know what, I don't hear you have to say, go on about the business. No. Let's talk.
Exactly. Because if I'm trying to offer you anything, I should value what you care about.
Yeah.
And to your point, because I want more people to talk, I'll give you something that we won't think about. The biggest salesman in the world right now, Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Just get political, just for a second.
Should I turn the video off now, man?
I'm not going to get that.
Okay. All right.
No.
It's already hacked.
I will not get controversial. I'm actually going to say something very positive. It's not negative. People can say anti-President Trump or before President Trump. But the one thing he did is he sold to his audience, and he provided one thing we're talking about. He listened to what they cared about, to his base. And what did he do? He found out the value, and he stuck to that value. And what he does is he works from that framework. Right, wrong, and indifferent, but that's the key. And I use him because he's just probably the most well-known right now, in my opinion. And people may look at it negative when I say this, but he is a genius. Genius is a relative term. There's nothing positive or negative about it. But it is a genius to have the ability to do what he did. And it was genius. Yes, sir.
Really two questions. One, I'll come back to one you just did up front. But the biggest problem in any business guy, especially black business,
Yes, sir.
overcome the stereotype that's already been presented out there in front. That's there already. And that's not an easy thing to get over. So even if you got the value, because people come to you and they come in the door with this preconception, regardless of what you offering, that you ain't gonna do it right.
That's a great point.
And you can't get away from that. So I think the biggest thing is how do you overcome that? With probably 30% of our people, you'll never overcome it.
That's very
Because
important.
we have a remember like an elephant. When somebody puts something in our mind, we don't really understand what it is. It's just that this is how we have been brainwashed. This is how we've been indoctrinated all the way from slavery. What certain people say sticks with us.
Yes, sir.
And it just don't get out. Now, so value is good, but at the same time, you still have to market and sell yourself to some people, and sometimes it's best to not sell yourself to some people. Because those people you're trying to sell yourself to, sometimes they are the ones who destroy your business.
You're 100% correct.
Shift the paradigm. How do you shift the paradigm?
Okay, first off, what Mr. Key and you're saying is interesting. It's a skill set. And actually, it does go back to value because you actually did it in your description. You have to, there's an old thing in sales, and I'm going to talk about it later. There's a difference between sales and customer service, but it's called feel, felt, found. You know, where a person says, I feel your pain. I find myself in the same situation. Okay? May have had people do that. Empathy is an old technique. But to what Mr. Kidd is very poignantly pointed out, when you have individuals that you know are going to be just basically antagonistic, no matter what you do, you're 100% right. You have one outcome. And the one outcome in that mindset then is you have to transition that I have to provide the best I can and realize this is where it's going to be. It's a hard thing that sometimes we have to look at. Every sale is not going to be a good sale. You're correct. Every customer is not going to be a good customer. You're 100% correct. And we have a big issue in the African American community because we have been conditioned that way. But as my mom taught me, a psychologist, she told me years ago, she says anything that can be conditioned can also be unconditioned. So the only way we, in those standpoints, we have to continuously practice best practice as business owners, no matter who we're dealing with, and to overcome that objection. So, to give you an example is water. You can look at what's happening in Detroit. Okay, if you can pollute water, no matter how big the lake or the ocean may be, and it can destroy all type of life within it. And it's happened, it's proof positive with Michigan. But to his point, it's the same thing with reputation and the same thing with business. So to protect your business and reputation at all costs, you have to do exactly what you do with water. You have to filter when you need to filter and just keep on moving forward at all times in order to try to get the best results and to get what you can clean. And I got a water guy back there anyway, but you're right, it's a technique and we will get into that. It is. It's almost you have to be, to quote the Bible a little bit, you have to be wise as a serpent. You really do have to be wise as a serpent.
So what do you think about this? Because people do have a stigma about us a lot of times as black folks. Yeah. And one thing that you said early on, that's just, you dropped a seed in my head is actually, it's the behavior. It's not just the process of behavior.
Yes.
It's certain behaviors that I'm thinking of as we're talking about this are just, like you said, innate than what I do. Like, for instance, one huge thing that automatically throws us in the black business bucket is our time.
That's correct.
If we're supposed to be someplace on time, either early and very minimum be there on time. When you walk in late, that's what they think about us all the way anyway. And then you set expectations and you meet or beat them. And most times, like for instance, if we're talking and I'm supposed to get you a document, I know it's going to take me 15 to 30 minutes to do it. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to get it to you in 3 hours by the end of business day. So now you're expecting it in the business day, and 17 minutes later, boom, you get it.
That's right.
It changes the expectation.
Correct.
Rather than, you said you're going to get to them by the end of business day, even if you put it out at 5 o'clock the next morning, you didn't meet your expectation.
That's brilliant. You're up in, it's piggybacks on what Mr. Kidd said too. You're talking about a true technique in customer service. You're 100% right. We all often in my job, so to give you guys a example, I'm the only black person, male or female, in my entire department in my day job. I work for one of the largest technology firms in the Midwest. I'm also the first salesperson consultant with the firm to over-exceed my goals in the amount of time I did in my first 90 days of employment last year. I'm the first African American to go to their president's trip, the one I was telling you about. I'm also the first ever to reach those numbers. So, to your point, I knew, and to your point, because I'm selling to these individuals too, and I sell their product and service. Now, they have actually contacted me trying to get more people like me, looking like you, there, because they don't know how it's possible because of using techniques that you just talked about. I would always undercommit and overdeliver. So that's a very good point. That is one way to do it. But getting right to the heart of what Mr. Kidd said before we move on, as he touched on some things that we even find in the miseducation of the Negro, like Dr. Carter G. Woodson, we have to recognize, and I agree with him, the current state we are in. But once we recognize that, We have to be surgical in our precision to attack and just stay the course. And it starts right here. It starts with this cross-pollination program that we're in now. Believe it or not, this will just grow. Everything starts off like a little tiny seed, and it'll grow into a tree. But that's how things have to go with reputation and also positivity. But just kind of transition real quick. All behavior is based on the customer value when we engage. Now, if you have a customer that doesn't value what you're having, to Mr. Kidd's point, you have to then behave in a way that handles that transaction. You may have transactions or situations, but you be the best ability you can be, where it's just going to be a transaction. Thank you very much. Great doing business with you. Hope you have a great day. Because behind me doing that, there's somebody behind me watching what I'm doing. There's someone working with me, watching what I'm doing. There's someone who may be in the store waiting on something I'm getting, watching how I handle that situation. And in their mind, even though they're not that bad guy that may say something crazy going out the door, you know what they may be in their mind? Man, that brother handled that. I don't know how you did. That's happened to me a million times. How did you handle that, brother? Man, I wish I could say something in the interest of I got to use a little bit of discretion just to share. I deal with individuals who don't want to do business with me at all. I deal with contracts that can range to 7 figures to 8 figures that I'm trying to close almost every 30 to 60 days. And almost 99% of the time, I'm not looking at anyone that looks like any of us. And I go into boardrooms, and they have a perceived notion about me before I even go walk in or even say anything. And how I overcome it is, guess what? I already have an advantage over that individual because I have power over them because they have an expectation. So when I, as to your point, overexceed, or if I'm on the top of my game, it just blows them out. And a lot of times, and I'll be very honest with you, a lot of times, that is the very reason that I get continuous business. Because they can't believe it. It shakes their paradigm like, wow, he didn't do this, and he was good at what he did. They'll even ask curveball questions, and I answer those. Or I'll be very honest and say, I don't know that answer. But guess what? I can bring someone here who will have that answer for you. And no, I don't mind having that question, because they don't expect that either. They expect us to choke up. Go right ahead, and their sister in the back had a question.
It sounds like everything we're talking about comes right back to the main things you started off with as far as changing your thinking.
Changing your thinking. That's very good. That's correct. It all goes back to changing your thinking. Sister first and then Dan. Yes, sister.
I was just going to kind of piggyback off that. I've experienced that. When people call me, they hear my voice, and they automatically assume that I'm Caucasian. And then once they go to my website to schedule, I've lost, just in the last month, I've lost 3 parties. But they were far out. They were in Bowling Grove, so of course they weren't people of our skin tone. And once they went to my website to book, they saw my landing page, which is a photo of myself, and then they call me back, and then they say, oh, unfortunately, we canceled the party. So this last lady that I dealt with last week, she called me back, she put down her deposit, then she went to my website, and she called me back, and she said, oh, we decided to go another way. So then today she calls me and says, unfortunately, we couldn't find anyone else to service our daughter for her birthday party, so we were wondering if you still had space in your schedule. Absolutely, I have space in my schedule. Absolutely, I'll send someone right out. And when I sent them out this afternoon, she called me back. She said they were 20 minutes early. I was so elated to see them. I thank you so much for sending them. Your staff is so polite. They got in and they got out. She was so astonished that a minority business, and she said, and you're black owned. I said, yes. She said, that's really interesting. I'll tell all my friends. And like you said, they have this preconceived notion. Like he said, we're automatically going to be late. We automatically going to do a poor job. We're not going to take pride in what we do. And she was just astonished that my website was together, my prices were together, my staff was on time. They had everything they needed, down to a garbage bag. Like she was so like, she was like, and they bring everything. They bring their own garbage bag and their own mats. And I just thank you so much. But again, she canceled the first time when she first saw me. So that just speaks to what you're saying, that
right.
you know.
Just keep, just like that river, no matter what is polluting in it, you have to keep your path and stay consistent. Very, very well stated. It's actually, and it was on that slide, that's the continuous like improvement. You look at that and you say, okay, I see it, I'm gonna keep moving forward. Just make myself a better machine, you know. Whatever obstacles get in your way, just persevere through it and just stay on the track. And you'll just be amazed. To that point, we're about to jump into a quick exercise. I put this little angry guy up here. He actually reminds me of a former boss I had, actually. He really does, actually. We talked about this a little earlier before a lot of people got here. But I asked the question, who are your customers? And some people gave me some actually everyone gave very good answers. But we came to kind of consensus that we have external customers, then we have internal customers as well. So let me ask you this. Now, I told you what I thought about value, and I gave you guys an idea of value, and some of you wrote it down. So we can do this. This is rhetorical. Raise your hand and just speak out, because we want to have an open dialogue. Now, at this point, give me 2 short sentences, anyone, maybe 2 or 3 people, on why your product that you sell or your service that you have is valuable. Now that you have a different look at value, and we talked about changing the way we think, does anybody want to try? We'll go with Brother Danny, and then we'll work our way this way. Sure.
Show of hands, how many of you in here have a security system at your house or business? Keep them up. How many of you, at some point in time or another, have had some type of negative experience with the current security provider? I know you asked for sentences, but
No, that's perfect. But then what you did was a perfect, well executed.
And that's my frame of mind. That's the target audience that I go after. And then I'll even go a third step further and say, how many of you know people who don't have or who are potentially being marketed for? And then those are the customers that I go after.
Before we go to the next person, Danny just did something else. Does anyone else what Danny did that we talked about at the very beginning?
Survey.
Very good. They got it both. He did a quick survey. He talked about how to get referrals. So if he took that same information that he had and he put it even on a postcard or whatever, you can now get data. You can improve that. But you're right. You described it very well. Does anyone else want to share real quick? Yes, sir.
Yeah. What I have to offer, the value is it's in our tagline. We allow you to get access to information through our technology, which allows you to upgrade your future. Because without that access, you can't upgrade, because everything has been upgraded. Technology, access, data. So we connect you to that data through the mediums that are out here to be able to upgrade your future.
You upgrade your future. So it's a mission statement in our tagline. We have it right there. And I know that's a little kind of biased because we have business together. Yes, sir.
Billy, I had 2 things I was going to talk about.
Sure, take
The
your
other
time.
one, when you talk about the value, sometimes the value is just the opposite. And I kind of disagree with you when you saying Trump is a great salesman. He's not a great salesman. It was just, there was a value of sitting there waiting for him to just pick up. Those were the people that wanted to change in this country.
Right,
They were the people that everybody had forgot about.
right.
And we're still part of that group too.
Right.
We just don't react like other folks.
Yeah.
We sit back and just accept it, but those folks was ready. They were the value, not Trump. Trump didn't sell them. They were already sold.
Correct, but I humbly disagree on one thing, because I agree and humbly disagree. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to do 2 street, but I'm going to keep it because I am right down the street over here. I got to be me. Look, he's a hustler. So really at the end of the day, if somebody's going to go with you anyway, for whoever comes up, the thing is he came up. He went up against 17, and not to spend too much time on it, he went up against 17 other individuals, identically from the same culture, same wealth, same mindset as he did, but he did something dramatically different than they did. He spoke the language to the individuals he knew wanted what you just talked about. It's no different than the guy on the street selling something that this man fights against every day. Okay? It is no different. The mentality is no different. So what happens, he identified what you said accurately, everything you said was accurate. He identified, they want this, and I'm gonna give it to them. That's all lean is. They want this, and I'm gonna give you what you want. And see, sometimes it's hard for people to think. Give you an example. Let's move it off of Mr. Trump, and then I'll jump into you, sir. Not to get political, but there's a recent thing with the Democratic Party where they had their own election. The Democrats decided to go a different route, and they don't see the unity there because they took a decision to do what they wanted to do and not necessarily what their people wanted to do. To your point about us as a people, because you are right on that. I just think his genius is, because you can be wickedly genius, and that's not to get into that, but he had a genius enough to say, this is who they want, I'm going to give it to them, I'm going to red meat at this, I'm going to win this election. That's what, while on the other side, it was, I'm with her. Now listen to this when we talk about value. Does anyone else remember that slogan from the election? How many people remember Hillary Clinton's slogan? What was it? What was his?
Make America great again.
What does Make America Great Again have to do with Donald Trump when you listen to it?
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all. When I say I'm with her, who does that have to deal with? So it's the same thing I was doing when I was getting closed doors with those other type of people that don't look like us, and I couldn't get a contract because I wanted everybody to be with me. It's the same concept. When I couldn't if I can't get a contract from Mr. Kid, or I can't get it from Daddy, and these are my guys, because why? Because I want you to be with me. I'm your boy. Come on, take care of me, Quayle. Come on, man, we frat, right? You know what I'm saying? But when you think like that, when you think here, you get the result of here. And see, the thing that I said that his genius was very simple, because I think what you said, it's so simple we can't call it genius, and that's why I do agree with you. Because you were right. It's so simple what he did, and it was so, to be honest with you, it was. But the thing, it was so simple that we were too smart for our own good, and if we look at that as a salesman thing. Because being president is selling yourself to the American people. And that's all it is. The one was, I'm with her. Nobody was motivated for that. I wasn't right. Yes, sir, go ahead.
So basically surveying and adjusting.
Correct. That's what he did. He surveyed, like we said, he got the data, he adjusted to the data, he found out what was valuable, and he sold to it. We're going to use Mr. Quayle, not to tease my frat, but because he's got an easy business that we all understand. It's water. We all drink water in here. Every human being, right? So based on that, he knows you have a pool of customers of how many? With the whole population. Yeah. Am I correct? Yeah. So why is it that you haven't sold water to the entire population in, say, the city of Chicago? Why?
Well, one of the challenges I have is money.
Money?
Cash flow. You know, that's my biggest challenge.
Okay, so say you had money. Would everybody in the city of Chicago buy your water?
Probably not.
Why?
Because they have options.
Why?
Why do they have options?
Why would they have options?
It's free. Because some people are sold on traditional things as well, like bottled water, and they just don't see, this bottled water is traditional. And even Hinckley has the same thing I have, but they sell more bottled water.
Right, because people see value in that Hinckley brand. That's when we get into branding. You're right. So it's just like, why Mr. Kidd does a great job on cars, but people going down to Jiffy Lube, they talk to him every other week. You understand? You see what I'm coming? Because going back to what he's saying on that mindset, so that mindset, sometimes you can't have it change overnight. So to be realistic, being realism. But for your networking ecosystem, everybody in here that has a business or anything should be buying his water. To be really honest with you. So it'll be on you to find out how we can find value in being your customer.
But You know, I think one of the things, and you spoke about Trump, one of the things he did, and one of the things we can do is create pain for the customer. For instance, the bottled water, everyone hates going to get it. We hate lifting it. We hate storing it in our house. And it has some other problems. If you got city water, all city water gets bacteria in it. You know, so we can create some pain, you know.
Well, you said this, I agree. Your pain is actually equal to guess what? Value. It goes to that word. You can turn it however you would like, but it's the same thing.
But then too, you need to target, or I feel that you need to target your specific market. Although we would all like to say we want to service or offer something to everyone, everyone is not sometimes ready for your service. They may not be able to afford your service. They may not be your target market. That's why you have what's called the target market. And you take those polls and those surveys to find out what your target audience is. So when you're making your brand marketable, you want to market to that particular audience that's going to be receptive to that brand.
Correct. You're correct on branding and marketing, and also target audience. Exactly what I said. If we rewind, I said he should at minimum what? Have everybody in where as his customer here. In here. But to your point, because you were very accurate, even with marketing and branding, you still do what you said at the beginning. You have to know what about what you have is value even to your target audience.
Right.
You remember our exercise when we first began, before we jump in here? I asked this gentleman, what's your first name again? Ronald?
Yes.
I asked Ronald what his business was. He told me his business. And he talked about a bed and breakfast, am I correct? And what did I tell you would be the reason that I would buy from you? Because he was a black business owner. He may not be marketing his bed and breakfast on that. He may take a poll later on and find out that the reason that people do business with him may be just because you're what? It may not be as well, to Mr. Kidd's point. So we don't know. It can go into, it can be multiple things, but you don't know until you collect the data. And I'm going to tell you, and I'll say it how it's real. White folks live and die by data. So go right ahead, sir.
One thing, obviously, we're talking about the change in paradigm shift. We always have to think about, how we perceive ourselves. And
Good point.
if we know the rules of the game, then it really, we know that we don't like doing business with us, and we know that others don't like doing business with us. The perception is, well, we can come up with a number of different reasons as to why that perception is out there and why they don't like doing business with us. And therefore, since we know the rules of the game, if we're going to play the game, then we just have to, we have to be creative. Like, I remember you mentioned about your website. They see your website and they see the picture and they kind of list out. So, can I ask this? How many people in this room, show of hands, have president, CEO, or owner on their business card?
Yeah,
Okay.
2 cents. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's I already know where you're going.
Because on my cards, I use regional account manager because it sounds like I'm high enough up to make a decision, but I still got to check in with the boss. And then when the web developer, I got a web developer out of Ohio, and he was really like, oh, people like to see who they're doing business with. They like to know who they're doing business with. You gotta put your face on there. And I was like, don't put me on there as president or CEO. I said, you just don't understand. I said, as a young black man, I'm not the face that these people want to see come to protect their stuff. They think, and the way I'm talking right now is not the way that I'm talking when I'm in front of my customers until I earn them as my customers. But when it's all said and done, he couldn't understand that concept. He's not black, and he doesn't deal with that baggage. So what he had to do was he had to go. We paid for some of those model pictures that you have, and you got all these different people.
Stock photos.
Yeah, on my website that don't replicate anybody that has any affiliation to do with my company. And site is, even when I go talk to somebody, you know, some of the gatekeepers to get to the decision makers, or even when I'm talking to the decision makers, I'm still like, I gotta earn that business first. And then when they say, well, man, you know, so is this your company? Is this your business? Then I act like it's a secret, and I say, hey, look, well, don't tell anybody. I usually don't tell people this, but yeah, you know, but keep that to yourself.
Look, when we started the first orientation that we had here, I passed out a survey. Remember the survey? I just want to go back to it because I just want to show
Great
you
point, great point.
how hard it is to make a change.
Good point.
We asked people, how many of you dealt with black businesses and what type of businesses do you deal with? I got the survey form back from quite a few of them. I didn't get them all back. Some people didn't even want me to see that they could deal with black folk. You know,
Yes, sir.
I was always taught from my grandmother what a hypocrite is.
Yes, sir.
Somebody else that wants you to do something for them, but in return, I want to help you.
That's right.
And if I'm black, and I'm doing business with you, and I turn around and find out you ain't doing no business with any other black folks,
That's right.
then I guess I can't call you a hypocrite or a person just ain't knowledgeable enough to understand what needs to go on. So, today, it's been 4 weeks now.
Yes, sir.
Have any of you that did that survey picked up a black business to do business with?
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, which one?
There's a bakery on 75th on the east side.
Was it complicated to do?
No, it was no problem.
But
I just had to be, well, they kept me on hold on the phone for about 15 minutes. But I calmed down, I said, this will be patient. Come on now.
right, anybody else in here that has filled it out? You filled it out? You weren't here.
I did.
All right, I know you didn't come to you last, because you're going to be talking.
But even before the survey you passed out, I specifically look for black businesses to work with first. I prefer to give my business to black people, and I do it for a reason. And my reason is, you know, I have a nonprofit, and I can never get the other folks to give me no donations. but I've always been on the phone and I can ask black folks. So I want my money in the community. So I specifically always look for it.
Did you pick up any other black businesses?
And I did pick up, the guy was here, we did business with each other.
Okay, what about Jay? Well, I don't like to ask you, but anybody else in here that you pick up any other black business since that survey?
Yeah, we did. We
Now,
did.
I just want to say this. We had about 20 people at that event, right?
Yes, sir.
I gave out 20 10% discount cards.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one of them back. See,
I
I
called you,
didn't ask you for your business for nothing. I know it's a value in saying I will give you 10% off.
That's right.
But even with us sometimes, that value is not enough to make that transition to come to us. So how do you gotta really get to the root part of how do we make this transition so that people can say, you know what, I gotta be black. And this is what this conference is about.
Yes, sir. We're going to get to that, and I agree. But in fairness, I called you, and that's why I mentioned it. My car will be with you. I think you recall that
Well,
car.
I'm not worried about it, I'm just saying.
Yeah, I called.
It's been a
I
month.
called him too.
Yeah, there you go.
I called him next day.
You ain't showed up. But
You told me you didn't change the oil
I
change.
said you're two people for water, right?
No, the
That's
deal
my
was,
son.
but you, no, he didn't do anything, but you said that you couldn't do an oil change, don't you? I
Yes.
said I didn't do a car, I don't have no problem with my car.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. But I'm just saying, those are
But
things
I
we gotta look
but I
at.
called
But we gotta start looking at who can we buy from.
Right.
As they sit right at this table, next time we meet us 7 people now, we should have found somebody else in here that we're purchasing something from.
I agree with you. And to that point, let me just say, that's an excellent segue, even though the Godfather's trying to take me further in, to this what I have right here. What does that say?
Must not take things first, I'll take things first.
And I'm going to tell you why that's important. And we kind of already done this part, so I'm skipping ahead. People may already have in here collectively want to do business with each other already. Give you an example, because you're right, but I want to share positively to that point. Danny, immediately after that, got with me and my business partners and gave us the opportunity to have us come in. He didn't have to do it. We collaborated. Mr. Kidd is 100% right. His son talked to me, his man, my dad, we got something for you back in the back, Quayle. I immediately thought about it, because he made a good point at the first conference. If I hear these 10% guys you talk about is talking about the car, I said, you know what? I need some new brakes eventually. I've been holding on to these things. I got a trickle going on, and I need an oil change. He says, yeah, we just don't do oil change. I thought about it. I need brakes. I need a couple of things. I'm gonna have to take a look at my car, because I don't want to go to people I don't know, and I know he's gonna do me fair. But he's 100% right. So rather than doing this exercise, because we kind of did that, the next thing was exercise, I want to take something Mr. Kidd just brought up. This thing is actually brilliant. We're going to change this just a little bit on this exercise. I'm going to ask you all, why don't you do business with one another, meaning blacks collectively? And why do you do business with one another? And tell me specifically why. I'm going to have a quick conversation. I set 10 minutes aside to talk about something less general, but it's still tagged. And how do you measure other black businesses' value? So I think Mr. Kidd is right. And I'm glad you did that too, sir. Let's talk about that right now. So, yes, anyone? Danny?
Well, one of the main reasons in the past is because of convenience, location. Sometimes you're not close to anyone that fits that mold. So out of convenience, you tend to shop or do business with people that are in your vicinity. That's one reason. Yeah.
Interesting. Brother Danny and Brother Mom.
Convenience, and I also tie that into as the business owner. They may not necessarily have the resources to, like, okay, Jed's grocery store closed on 106th and Austin. As long as I've been over here, Jed's was a staple in the community.
Right.
And he was the last of the true convenience store owners. But he can't survive when now we're in a position where we go to Walmart, we'll go to Target, and we'll go to wherever, because he can't even compete with those guys. You know what I mean? He could be like the guy that owns the gas station / drug paraphernalia / bootlegging outfit that sells, rotten tomatoes or, 3-week-old bread or something like that.
So are you saying the reason, let me ask it very specific, I want to get some money, because I think Mr. Kidd brought up something that's made me think.
He can't survive.
He can't survive, and I understand it. Yeah. I agree. So you're saying, is it more a convenient thing on why you think we can't support each other? Or let me twist it. Why, when you do select a black business, what is the value that you see? Is it because they are a black business, or is it some other value that you're finding? What is causing you to spend your dollar with a brother? Or a sister? What is causing you to do that?
For me, it's two things. I'm looking at the actual services provided, and if it's a service, if you're providing a quality product and service that I need and I'm interested in, and obviously if you're black, then I'm biased towards you. However, the reason that black business could no longer survive and was doomed to fail was, unfortunately, he couldn't keep up with the change that was going on in the society.
Now I'm about to do with Mr. Kidd, because I gotta do something for the guy. I think he'll like this. He brought this up before, and I'm thinking about something he said, because he's right. I know he's gonna like hearing that. But you're right about something. I thought about something. I'm gonna ask a question I've heard you ask before. And I was putting it the way I heard you say this before. Too often, when we go to our black businesses and something goes wrong, what do? I heard Mr. Kidd said this very powerfully at our orientation. We don't forget it. Remember that? So when you say customer service and value, you come to us for a website and say for some reason it is not exactly what you want. What do we at? And you don't give us time to correct the issue. Are you done doing business with this black business because it's not exactly, or how do you do that? And then, I would like to ask this for everyone. I'm going to start in the back room, because we have to hear, I want to hear the ladies on this. How do you measure that? I mean, I know my wife, and I'll be honest, she's nothing like me. My wife will cut a brother and a sister in a moment. If they don't do what's right, they're like, oh no, I told you dealing with black folks. I'm like, are you serious? Give this person a chance. But you're right. I mean, Mr. Kidd brought that up in our very first session. And I'd like to hear from you all. When you have a bad experience or experience that you don't like, are you done dealing with business with that African American vendor?
So for me, specifically, I find that if I deal with someone that I do not, or I feel that they didn't do things the way that they probably should have, then as a person, I usually will pull them to the side. But that's just me. Like, I'll write them an email, and I'll say, hey, I tried to give you an opportunity to do this. Like, prime example, I had a nail vendor I was working with. They were black, because I didn't want to go to Chinese people, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to work with these people. I really want you guys to get my products to me. Then it turned into my shipment would be late. I would show up to pick up my package. The package wouldn't be there. They would tell me they would send it to me in a week, or they'll ship it to my house. And I gave them 3 opportunities. Then I sent them a really nice long email letting them know I wanted to come to you specifically because you were black, and I wanted to support you and patronize your business, but I can't do that because you're impeding on my business and you're making me seem inefficient, and you're giving me a bad name. So from your lack of business sense, your problems are trickling down to me.
Can I respond to that? I want to also make a quick announcement. We're going to continue this conversation, but look at this as break time. Please get up and grab some of this food that was provided for us today. So this is the next 5 to 10 minutes. We're going to continue this open discussion, but please help yourself to the food. Luckily, it was brought to my attention, so consider this a break. But yes, sister, go right ahead.
I was going to piggyback off what he was saying in terms of the, what is it, a grocery store that you were speaking on?
Well, it was just a neighborhood convenience store, yeah.
I think also that a lot of times when you have those small businesses, their biggest customers are the people that are in that vicinity that probably don't have transportation to go to, like Walmart 20 blocks over or something to that nature. So I do think that it's important for people in the community, even the ones that can travel to other areas, to patronize them. But I think when they are stuck in those times and they can't get whatever they need to get the on the level that to compete with others, then that's always going to be an issue for small businesses. So I think as a business owner, they have to work towards making sure that they can stay up or do what's necessary so that they can compete, so that we can, utilize them, patronize them. But also, I have a AT&T phone, okay? And AT&T is not a black-owned thing or anything, but I choose to go downtown on Michigan Avenue. For me, because I'm on the move so much, it's strictly about convenience and how much time I have. And if I got time to sit and wait and be bothered, other than that, because I'm always on the move,
So,
that's how I choose to do it.
Here's my question to everything I heard. Again, I'm coming from the lens of the Godfather, Mr. Kidd. So if we know convenience is the issue, what is more important? Is it important for us to lift up this ecosystem, to have us actually start doing business with one another? What normally do we have to do when we have things, if we really want them? What goals do we have to have? We have to do sacrifice. So, to be honest with you, for me and Jay live way south. I live way south suburbs. But that's an excuse for me when I'm having car trouble, in my opinion it is. Don't come see Mr. Kidd if I know he can handle it. I'm using him as an example because we all have automobiles, okay? And I think that's the cleanest example of what I'm saying. So I understand what everybody said, but we have to get in the mindset of, are we going to say these things are reasons why? Are they more excuses? Because if you really want to get to a goal, you have to do what? You're going to make a sacrifice. It's like, yes sir, go ahead.
I think, and I'm speaking as a personally.
Go ahead. Yes,
I
sir.
think it's, sometimes it's uninformed. We don't know the black faces.
That's a good point.
And it's not that you can't go out and research and do it yourself. It's, majority of the time, you're just uninformed. So you don't know if you're doing business with a black, who are you doing business with?
You just made I got a rhetorical question for everybody in here. This is about the cross-pollination program. How many of you guys know other black businesses in here? Show of hands.
Just any black business?
Any black business. How many people know anyone with a black-owned business? How many of you let them know about this program? Okay. How many times did you let them know? We already know how you get there. My point, you see a value in your sacrificing your time here today. Am I correct? You sacrifice your time, we're making an effort. You've reached out to others, so that's when we get into referrals. Say, hey, girl, hey, brother, I know this thing is going on, it's huge. You got to be a part of it. It's going to turn into a movement. It's a snowball effect, right? But what don't we see? We don't see those individuals with. Here tonight. Yes.
But that goes back to value.
But you're right. But it also goes back to what word I just used. Because something Mr. Kidd said was right. It goes back to the word sacrifice.
Whose value are you talking about? Is it your value?
Their value in their business.
Yeah, but how do you approach it? How do you approach it? You know, it's kind of hard to want to go up and tell somebody, I got a program that I think you need to be in, because we're so selfish within ourselves. We got so many things we got to do more than
Yes,
this.
sir.
But you have to realize that so many other people don't understand what it is they need to do. We're 400 years of slavery, and we can't forget that we just don't know what it is we need to do. So somebody's got to constantly pound you.
Yes, sir.
I talked with Tyler. Tyler didn't have to be part of what we're doing here. I met Tyler on a phone conversation, and he's been over here since then.
Yes, sir.
He's seen the value in what it is we're doing, and he's working with everybody he can to try to get it. So we can't stop short of saying, well, I tried. You have to try, and don't even think about quitting. Because what we're taking away from ourselves, the value of this community. We're taking away the value from ourselves. Because where else can we go? I live out there in Crete. I mean, I don't see no brothers out there where I am in Crete. Or I don't talk to white folks too often. Because I know that they have no need for me.
That's right.
I mean, the guy lives right across the street from me. I mean, he has come over and done my social leave, which is great, and I said, thank you. And I would do the same for him. But at the same time, I go out and I meet the brothers in my community. I know the brothers that live out there, they were a handful, but I know them, and we do associate. And we can't stop just because we get turned out one time. We got to continue, because this is how we have been portrayed, this is how we have learned. If somebody don't do it 9, 10 times, they will happen.
So something, the reason I want to commend both of you all, and sister, I forgot your name. Mia and Mr. Kidd. Mr. Kidd brought up something that is needed to discuss as part of this customer service, and that's why I've been spending more time on us and our culture, because it's a very good point he's made. When we look at self, we have to start looking at it how? In a tribal sense. And until we can do that, it doesn't matter how much book smarts or all the strategies, measurement, data that we collect. To his point, because I see where he was going with his earlier comment, it could be just pretty much defeating. Because we're no collective. It's no, and it's something to talk about as we have this quick break. How do we think in a more collective way? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and to your point, man, one of the things that a lot of people fail to realize when they try to do comparatives, when you start talking about other folks and how they do things outside of people of color, it's a numbers game for them.
Yep.
It's purely a numbers game. There's no real strategy other than it's a numbers game.
Right.
Within these communities, these smaller communities, you're right. It's about a different type of strategy, and there's a lot of different strategies out there. Some work, some don't. but the magic pill hasn't been found yet. Short of just completely selling out for your people.
Right.
That's the magic pill, but therein lies the dilemma, because the waters have been so muddy. You know, we can get deeper, but behavior, the things that you see in your community, in your household, you're overcoming a lot of damage. That's what you have to do, and it's a lot deeper than. And somehow I think the way we have to approach it, it's in a tribal sense, but you got to look at data, you got to look at numbers, you got to have a strategy that's built on numbers.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you keep kicking, you keep kicking the can along, and
I think it's funny you said. I think it's listening. I'm always open to learn. I think it's, to your point, I think it's a mixture of both. And I think the wisdom that we had today from Mr. Kidd and some of our elders is right on point, because it's a mixture. You need the data, but you also need the reality. You have to deal with what's going on in our communities. You can have the data too, but we all live this, we know. And using this as a real example that we're a part of, and then going back to what Sister Mia said, when Mr. Kidd was talking, because she said something that was pretty powerful, but we all were eating and we may not have heard it. Well, you know what she said about the cross-pollination? Because she said those friends and people we talked to with businesses, they did not what? They did not value it. But Mr. Kidd said something, and they actually were saying the same thing. He broke down why they aren't or why they should. Does that make sense? Where I'm going is that it's a mindset. So what will end up happening is this. You'll know somebody like my brother, my own blood brother, I invited him, has a business, and what he'll do next week is call me and ask me how to do everything that was in this program. Y'all hear me right now? This is real. Let's use a real example. He'll call me. I said, man, you got this business. You keep asking me all these questions. Rate of closing than anything else. If I have a good experience with this brother or this sister, and I go to my wife and her sister's catering something, I say, try out Sister Mia, her food is great. You think my wife, 99.9%, she's going to go with what I mentioned. She said, oh, you like the food? Yes, baby, it's good. Try it out. She does great service, blah, blah, blah. Same thing, women do it. Women do referrals better than us as black men all day. You want me to prove it to you? Hair, nails, shoes, clothes. See, we can learn from our sisters. We may laugh at it as men, but if we took what they did and learn how to use that energy in a collective manner, you can increase that. So a lot of the things that we do, we just got to figure out that magic, how to utilize it. But I'm going to tell you, if a woman's hair ain't right, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be about 50 women will know about it within 5 minutes. Girl, don't use Gina. What? You know, it'll be everywhere. That's the truth. And I'm being honest, sisters can make or break a business. It's a compliment. Because the things that we complain about as men, we do not communicate. You know, so I was going to go into this with the limited time we have, but I want to touch on the gender piece when it comes to how we deal with business. Men, we don't. We'll go, I got my prints done, I'm driving off, I don't tell nobody that came to the shop. What value is that but one transactional deal for Mr. Kidd? But what a woman will do, if her car's riding right, she'll hear my stuff was squeaking. Really? Whatever. I went to the house that I know. Go see Mr. Kidd. That's women. Women are proud when their stuff is tight. Men, we just keep stuff to ourselves. We do it when we buy suits. We got to bang the suit on, but we got to tailor. We ain't telling nobody. You like, man, brother, where you? Oh, man, you know. That's how those Catholics do you all day. They just leave you.
Women showcase, we don't showcase.
That's true. There you go.
We're not showcasing, we're sharing.
that's why if you go into business, you go into business and cater to women, because you'll stay busy.
Correct. But the point is, very good point. And I like that word. Women do showcase, but we need to do a better job as men when we do business with each other to promote our brothers and not keep it to ourselves, and our sisters as well. Meaning promote them as well, because we do business with sisters, and we keep our mouths shut too. Yes, sir.
I want to promote these sisters here for this food.
It's off the chain.
It's off the chain.
I'm gonna try.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna stop 10 minutes early just so I can taste it.
Hopefully there's something left.
It's hot too.
If it's not, it's all good. I'm gonna breeze past a couple of these. I put this guy up here for a reason. Warning, I do dumb things. See, this is what we were talking about, all this lean stuff, and the whole idea was this. And we jumped ahead on it. It really is great, but it means nothing if you're a business of one and you're doing dumb things. See, I just put all this up here really is to look cool, to let you guys know. I know what I'm talking about. I've done this several times, but guess what? It don't mean nothing if you're doing that. If you're the dumb guy, if you're the dumb guy, not doing the basics, what Mr. Kidd was talking about, that's the basics of customer service. So bottom line, with customer service, always just remember, every single interaction matters. Customer issues are not problems, they're always opportunities. So when you start looking at things that you have problems with, and you reverse that thinking, remember we talked about changing the way we think, and we change the word problem to an opportunity. You know, oh, this guy doesn't like the way I do it. You know what? This is an opportunity for me. Because if I can solve the anger in this guy, I got a solid customer now. You understand? So, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. We messed up on that website. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tell my team, we're going to add a few more pages, no cost to you. Let us work to fix it. We truly apologize. Give us time to fix it. You don't ask for that. I say it right off, I acknowledge your problem. I say, yeah, we made it bad. You know what? I'm going to throw in something extra for you just for sticking with us. Thanks a lot, bro. Move on, you know, hey, I appreciate the fact that you let me come to your business and your technology. I know we were late on what we did, and I charged you X amount of dollars. And you know what? Let me give you 15% back on that. I know we talked about another project. I'm going to try and save you there as well. So let's try and get this right. I do truly apologize. I'll talk to my team. We'll get everything worked out. I know if you need me to speak to anyone else, I'll let them know that it was on us. It had nothing to do with you. You see what I'm saying? How simple that is? Just take accountability for it. Take accountability. Just being natural. We all know how to do this stuff. We're all professionals. It's harder on us, as you've already indicated, because we all have to deal with that color barrier with our own folks and then the other folks as well. But once you do things like that, it also kind of shocks you. Wow, this person knows how to be beyond professional. Yes, go ahead.
One model that I've always lived by for my business as well as running my mom's business is treat people how I want them to treat me.
Correct.
So if I want if I look for a certain standard in business, I want to live up to that same standard from my business. I don't ever want to be misconstrued as a poor business person or a haphazard business owner because of minor practices. Like you asked earlier, who has a team? I've let people go if they're late. By 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. And I understand that you need to make your money. I understand things happen. But 5 minutes late is 20 minutes late to a customer. Because we're coming into their home and we're invading their space already. Even though we were invited, we're still invading their space already. Or their office. And if they have a 1 hour lunch break and our service takes 1 hour, that 5 minutes is going to cause them to be late. You know what I mean? So for me, my motto is treat my business and my customers the way I want to be treated.
Very well said. I couldn't have said it any better. As we have 10 minutes left, make sure you get some more food. I want to say a few more things and use that as a great note. I want to tie it back to something that our host, Mr. Kidd, gave. I think it was brilliant, too. What Sister just said, I could have wrapped it up even better than that. It's just really treating people how you would want to be treated. Okay? But adding to that, I think we got to start looking at the you as us. And until we can do that, we won't see the success that we want. Okay? And I'm adding that component because of the spirit that Mr. Kidd gave. because I think it was right on point. I think it is truly a balance of both. I think it goes with Brother Jay said, we need the data, we need the measurement that I was on, but you can't, in our community, you can't live out about the reality that he's talking about. He's just coming with the real, and it's absolutely right. We've already done this. You guys, and I think I'm pretty confident you have it on your quiz. Take your time. I want you to think about everything we discussed today, and ask yourself, how do I describe my product or service to someone else? How can I make Billy buy my product or service? How can I make the average person? But keep it in the same thing as customer service, that who your customer is, what was stated today, treat people how you would want to be treated, but also look at the you in a bigger spirit too. Having the ability to tolerate and knowing how we can be to one another. How do we overcome that, but still being the consistent best that you can be? Getting over the obstacles that we have as black men, and I'm separating them from our sisters, where we don't communicate and we don't promote each other. We have got to get out of that. Because in a way, since we are all customers of each other, we are failing each other. We fail him, her, when we don't spread the message of what our brother or sister can do. And we don't tie it all into the same thing, but we're actually sharing that dollar. So we have to be better stewards of each other. You know, if you hear about security, she could be making food for someone. Hey, you know what? I know a guy. That's what we need to do. Sisters are more often to do that. But we as brothers, if I go in somewhere, you need cameras? Hey, Danny, I got an opportunity.